Joining me now is John Pearson, Vice President of Finance and Planning for Cape Rail Inc. Cape Rail Inc. is the holding company for Mass Coastal Railroad as well as the Cape Cod Central Railroad. And in this segment, we're going to be talking about the Cape Cod Central Railroad and the scenic train. So welcome, John.
Thank you very much.
Good
Pleasure to be here.
Today.
Thank you.
I have experienced the scenic train on a couple of occasions and rode the elegant dinner train one time, and even got some footage that we'll show later of the chef back in the kitchen, the galley car, preparing the dinners, and it was really a great experience.
Right.
But I understand that since I had done that 5-6 years ago, that you actually have a number of new offerings for people on the scenic train.
We do. On the Cape and in season, we have a rather broad group of offerings. We run a dinner train both out of Hyannis and on Friday nights out of Buzzards Bay. We offer a couple of daytime scenic trains. One of those also offers a lunch midweek. We do a family supper train for parents and their children once a week, and we do Sunday brunch trains, and we've also done a few special event trains. We did an ice cream special train. I think we've done a wine train, or we're at least planning on that. So we have quite a range of seasonal offerings, and we've really enjoyed being able to operate on the Cape and bring that venue to the Cape.
Now we're coming toward the end of the summer tourist season, and I'm sure that's the busiest. But fall tourism is a big deal. I know that the train in the past has had leaf peeping trips and things like that. Are there things that you'll continue to do throughout the fall?
Yes, well, we haven't done leaf peeping trips per se, but actually the fall passenger loads in September and into about the middle of October are as heavier than during the summer season. There's quite a bit of passengers and tourists coming down and using the trains I just mentioned during the fall period, September and October. And we're in the process of making plans beyond that. We're planning for what we hope will be a major holiday season event as well, and we expect to be announcing that in the near future. So the season will continue.
That sounds like fun. Now, you have actually been able to get some expansion on the territory that you cover as well, isn't that right?
Yes, in 2010 our railroad expanded by gaining the rights to operate on lines that extend from Middleborough to Taunton and down to Fall River, New Bedford. And when we got those rights to operate freight service there, we asked the state if we could also bring the type of unscheduled tourist train service that we run on the Cape over to Fall River, New Bedford, and the state graciously agreed to allow us to operate seasonal and unscheduled service over there. So we've actually gone over to Fall River a couple of times. We did a springtime Hobo Express train during school vacation. We went back for a 3-day Day of Portugal festival. As you know, Fall River has and New Bedford both have a fairly large Portuguese population. So we're beginning to to offer some opportunities for tourists and passengers over there, as well as on the Cape.
So it sounds like, John, that the Cape Cod Central Railroad and the scenic train and all is really on an upswing. There were a number of years when it was questionable whether that business model was going to work, but it sounds like instead you've turned the corner on this, and it's getting better. I
think we have turned the corner, and I think we're about to shift into a higher gear. The basic tenet of a railroad is the only way it can prosper as a business is if you run trains, and we're looking for ways to run more and more trains.
Well, let me ask you this, which is a little bit off topic, but there have been a number of discussions lately by people who are eyeing the railroad tracks that run from Sandwich all the way down towards P-Town.
Right.
And with the idea that if they were paved over, like the bicycle path is from exit 8 on down towards the Outer Cape, that we could connect the entire Cape with a bicycle pathway. So I've taken objection to that because I think that government taking over property like that to turn it into a taxpayer-funded proposition makes no sense when compared to such a business that you have.
Right.
But what was your reaction when you started hearing those things?
Well, I think our reaction is that it is an unprofitable and unproductive use of property that actually is already government property. The state owns all the rail lines on the Cape, and in fact they own the lines that we operate on to Fall River, New Bedford. But the lines are presently at their highest and best use. We take a majority of the, we call it energy, you would call it municipal solid waste perhaps, off the Cape to CMAS every day. We save about 7,000 or 8,000 truck trips a year just on that business alone. And as I mentioned earlier, with regard to the passenger business, the tourist business that we're running, the business is expanding and growing. So the use of those lines for rail service is both economically beneficial to the Cape because as the costs of fuel increase, and they've been increasing dramatically in the last few weeks again, we get more and more inquiries from shippers about shipping products and commodities to and from the Cape by rail as opposed to by truck.
It is a lot cheaper. Yeah. I've heard the commercials where it costs much, much less per ton of cargo to move it on rail lines than it does by truck.
Yeah, and the state has a major investment in these lines already. They have over a number of years spent a lot of money. We're about to put 9,000 ties into the railroad between the canal and Hyannis this fall at an expense of something over $1 million. That's being funded by the state. So the state is continuing to invest in the lines. The idea of somehow turning that around and turning them into a paved bike path is basically, I would think, anathema to both ourselves and the state.
And I would agree, and I think the Cape Cod Commission actually already has a planned route for bikes from Sandwich all the way out to the end of the Cape. And this is not part of it, so I think we can accomplish both, actually.
I mean, someday if you're a dreamer, we could actually perhaps help bring bicyclists down from the metropolitan areas to these bike paths by train.
Very good. I appreciate your being here on the segment today, and I look forward to a future segment where we're going to be talking about the energy train and what you do with that business.
I'd love to come back and discuss that with you. Thank you.